So if you're Barry Sanders in your life, you're more of a high risk, high reward type person. You're willing to kind of put a little more on the line, and that's who you are truthfully. Guess what? Lean into that. Don't try to be something that you're not just because others say that you need to be that. On the flip side, if you're more Emmitt Smith and you're more the consistent, maybe not huge risk reward, but, you're very calculated in how you operate, and that's where you shine, guess what? Be Emmitt Smith. Stop trying to be. What's happening, y'all? This is Mike D with Black Fathers Now, where we're bringing the village to the brothers. Every couple of weeks, you can look forward to a quick inspirational message or a thought-provoking guest with knowledge and wisdom, all geared towards helping you be the best father that you can be. We're bringing the village to you. Now it's your turn to do something with what you learned. All right, y'all. Let's go. What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D, Mr. Double Down on You, with another episode of Black Fathers Now. Fellas, I hope you're having a great day. I hope you are starting 2021 off on the right foot and making things happen. Before we get started, I want y'all to be mindful. Double Down on You Academy is dropping very soon. Double Down on You Academy is dropping very soon. Be on the lookout. I'll, give you all the details for that. But Double Down on You Academy is dropping very soon with the first course coming entitled Jumpstart Fatherhood. All right. But fellas, today's episode is something I want you to think about, right? And it's about perspective. It's about perspective. And what I wanted to drop on you today is perspective on how you do things. So I'm a big football fan, right? Growing up, I played running back. I didn't play in college or anything, but high school and all of that, I played running back. That was the position that I played pretty much throughout the time that I played football, running back. So I always had an affinity for running backs. And my favorite football player of all time is Barry Sanders, Detroit Lions. Barry Sanders was my dude. Like I was a huge fan of Barry Sanders, partly because I'm vertically challenged, i.e. short myself. So brothers who ain't that big, I always have an affinity for him. But then his style was something that I really dug. You know what I'm saying? Sidebar, I actually had a chance to meet him once when I was in college at Georgia Tech in Atlanta. He was in Buckhead walking around, and I just had an opportunity to go up and meet him and tell him. I was like, yo, dude, you were my idol, dude, when I was in high school. Either way, I was kind of fanboying a little bit. But long story short, Barry Sanders was my favorite running back of all time, right? Favorite player of all time. But at the same time that Barry Sanders was prominent in the NFL, there was another running back who I have great respect for. And I'm cool, I think it's pretty dope as well. And that's Emmitt Smith. And actually, Emmitt Smith ended up becoming the NFL's all-time leading rusher, right? Emmitt Smith is awesome. Hall of Famer. Both he and Barry Sanders are Hall of Famers. They've done the doggone thing, right? Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. But today, I wanted y'all to think about Emmitt Smith versus Barry Sanders. So I mentioned that I was a huge fan of Barry Sanders. And one of the things about Barry Sanders' style was that he was not consistent. Now, he was successful, but he was not consistent. So what do I mean by that? So if you watched a Detroit Lions football game back in the day and Barry was playing, you watched the first half and you might see a stat line like, Barry Sanders had 11 carries for 10 yards in the first half. You're like, wow. For most people, that's having a horrible game. But if you watch the whole game, you would often see that, he had 11 carries for 10 yards in the first half, but then the second half, he had 12 carries for 155 yards and 3 touchdowns. So as he ended the game, his stat line was awesome. It looked like he was killing it, right? But the reality is he had a bad first half. But the second half made up for it. And then when you looked at the whole game, you are like, yo, this dude is the man. Okay? Compare that to an Emmitt Smith. See, Emmitt Smith, I would say, was probably more consistent than Barry Sanders. You know, if the Dallas Cowboys needed 2 yards, they could count on Emmitt Smith to get those 2 yards. If the Dallas Cowboys needed, if it was 3rd down and 4, Emmitt Smith could pretty much get that 4. Like, he was pretty consistent in getting that 4. Now, he had big games and, big runs and all of that. But the reality was you could count on Emmitt Smith for those consistent benchmarks to be made. Whereas Barry Sanders, if it was 3rd down and 1, he might lose 5 yards the first time. The next time it's 3rd down and 3, he might lose 2. But then the next 3rd down is 3rd down and 4, he might break it for 60. See, you could not necessarily count on Barry Sanders to get you that 1 yard if you needed 1 yard. But if you held on and you gave him patience, and you instilled patience and let this thing play out, you could know that at some point Barry's going to break one. It's just, that was the thing. So he was not consistent each time, but at the end of the game, at the end of his career, when you look back over it, the stats show that he was amazing. So I gave these 2 examples of 2 brothers that I highly respect, especially when it comes to football, because I'm a football fan. And I wanted y'all to think about strategy. Some of us yearn for that consistency. We want to be that one. If we need a yard, we can go get that yard, right? Or in business, hey, if I need to make 1,000, I can go get that 1,000, right? I can always be assured that I'm going to hit these small benchmarks, right? I'm pretty consistent. Some of us yearn for that, right? But on the flip side, some of us yearn for, I want that home run. It's like, I don't mind losing this one and losing that one if I can get a home run later. So it's like some of us yearn to be the consistent, I'm going to make it happen. Others of us yearn to say, I don't mind losing a little bit here or there as long as I hit a home run at some point. So it's pretty much a thought process regarding strategy. But I would challenge you, brothers, to take a step back and not even think about the strategy, but give yourself a real honest look in the mirror and understand who you are authentically. Because if you are personally that one who gets, the consistent wins here or there, and you can be counted on for this and counted on for that, if that is you from a philosophical perspective, but just from an authentic perspective, that's you, lean into that and be okay with that and stop looking over. So if you're the Emmitt Smith type character, stop trying to be Barry Sanders. Your role is to not try to hit home runs and risk a whole lot and risk a whole lot of losses. You're the consistent brother. And guess what? That's okay, because that's authentic to you. On the flip side, if you're more Barry Sanders, meaning you're one that maybe is a little more high risk, high reward, but that's naturally who you are. Be okay with that. Be comfortable with that. Lean into that, because that's where you're going to have your biggest impact, because that's who you are. If Barry Sanders looks over and tries to be more like Emmitt Smith and be consistent in how he approaches things, right? Be a little less risk taking in how he operates, then guess what? Barry Sanders would not have the same success that he had trying to be Emmitt Smith. So if you're Barry Sanders in your life, you're more of a high risk, high reward type person, you're willing to kind of put a little more on the line, and that's who you are truthfully, guess what? Lean into that. Don't try to be something that you're not just because others say that you need to be that. On the flip side, if you're more Emmitt Smith and you're more the consistent, maybe not huge risk reward, but, you're very calculated in how you operate, and that's where you shine, guess what? Be Emmitt Smith. Stop trying to be Barry Sanders and trying to find that one-hitter quitter that's going to take you to the promised land, so to speak. Let's stop doing that. Take time to authentically understand who you are. Take time to authentically understand who you are as a man, as a black man, as a black father. Then have the courage and the confidence to double down on that, walk in purpose, and guess what? Both Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders are in the Hall of Fame, even though they approach the game with different strategies. Let that sink in. All right. Well, fellas, again, as always, make sure to subscribe to Black Fathers Now via your favorite podcast listening app. Leave some ratings, leave some comments, share this thing out. I'm asking everybody listening to this to share this episode and share the podcast with at least one more person. It don't cost you nothing. All you got to do is hit share. Text it to your homeboy. Text it to your homegirl. Text it to somebody. Text it to your football fan, right? Share this with one person. That's all I'm asking each person that's listening to this to do. Share this with one person, but then also leave a rating, leave a comment on your favorite listening app, and continue to follow because we got a lot of stuff coming this year. And until next time, fellas, ladies listening too, y'all be blessed, well, and wise, and I'll holler at you. Peace.
Yo, fellas, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And always visit blackfathersnow.com, as well as follow Black Fathers Now on virtually every social media platform you can think of. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Just follow us and engage with us, man. Look forward to hearing from you. And I guess until next time, I'll holler at you. Peace.